Welcome to the Mind of Business Success podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Kramer. Today we have with us Yvonne Weld, and we are going to talk about making that big mindset shift from the practitioner to the CEO. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Alicia. I'm looking forward to our conversation today.
Let's talk a little bit about what you do in your business and how you are supporting your clients and making this important transition, because it is a really significant transition and it can be the difference between a very limited income and a whole lot of workload and scaling your business, having more time freedom and more financial freedom.
Absolutely. So let me start by sharing a little bit of history or story as to how this mindset shift happened for me. So I was at a business seminar and it was not at all on any of this type of stuff. It was just a success training. It was about how to grow your business. And there was this aha moment for me when I'm sure the conversation was just something that came naturally to the gentleman on stage. I didn't even realize he said it, but it was that stabbing moment where it's like someone took a knife to my heart and I went, oh my God, like he's talking to me. And the words were something to the effect of, are you a practitioner or are you a CEO? And as long as you feel like you've always just bought yourself a job, and until you let go of that practitioner mindset, you will never have the business of your dreams. And I was like, whoa, wow. See, I was a virtual assistant at the time, and I had convinced myself that no one was going to handle my customers or my clients the same way I was. And I was fast, I was efficient, I was good, but I knew there was always this glass ceiling in my business. There was only so many hours in a day, so I could only help so many clients. So it was kind of like, okay, I either have to charge more or I have to bring people in because that's the only way I'm going to break through the glass ceiling, if you will. And so that's when I decided I wanted to be more than just a virtual assistant. So I started hiring other people, training them, learned a lot of things along the way, if you will. And that's why now I've transitioned from being a virtual assistant to being a business coach and showing other people how they too can break that glass ceiling in their business. But there was a lot of lessons learned along the way for sure.
It's a familiar story. We don't usually go from the aha to the happy ending without cleaning up some of our stuff along the way. Mm-hmm. When you started to make that transition, what did you notice within yourself? Did you have a lot of resistance?
Oh, mostly within myself, for sure. It was the learning to trust other people and not so much looking for someone that was me, because that's the first mistake I made. I went out looking for people who were me instead of looking for compliments to myself. So I took an inventory of what was I really good at, and more importantly, what did I really, really like to do? And then I wrote another list of the things I didn't like to do or I wasn't good that my clients were asking for anyways, and started to bring those people in. And so it wasn't so much of attempting to find someone who could replace me or who could be me, but it was more about finding people who could complement me so I could enhance the customer experience for my clients. So that was the first thing. Had to let go of this whole, I need to find more mini me's, if you will. And that's how I started to build the trust. And then the other thing was, I was a big believer that everything that I did for my clients, I had to know how to do it. Well, what if this person is missing and now I got to jump in and I don't know how to do that? How am I going to face my client and say, I can't do that thing? So that's where I really started to fall in love with processes and documenting everything and getting my team to start recording how they were doing things. Because if you're someone who can watch a video and emulate what someone else is doing, and you have that wherewithal, that knowledge. I used to always joke I'm a graduate of Google University. I can figure anything out, just point me in the right direction. So it was starting to let go of that whole belief it had to be me. And then the other thing I had to do was stop talking about my business as myself and stop being the face of my business, if you will. And it's not that I wasn't still out there promoting my business. I had to change I to we and start talking about we. I had to do that trust transfer of transferring from the client thinking they could only work with me to getting them to understand how they could start to work with my clients. And so there was a lot of training, not only for myself, but for my clients as well.
Let's talk a little bit about this role of practitioner, because I know you work with a lot of wellness providers, but really this applies to anyone who is the service provider in their business. So we're not so much referring to someone who has a business where they're selling widgets and they're just mass producing widgets, and maybe they have an e-commerce store. Although certainly there's room for expansion and growth there as well. But when we're talking about practitioner, that's kind of a general term that we could use to say anyone who is a solopreneur, a service provider. They are the product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a lot of us, we've started our business because we had a skill set, something we love to do. So for myself, it was administrative tasks. So I became a virtual assistant. For some of my clients, they're a great registered massage therapist, or they're a great nutritionist, or whatever it might be. Maybe even a business coach, if you think about the business that I have now. And a lot of us, we believe that because the business is built on our skill set and it's our business, it's difficult to grow and to expand and to really embrace that CEO hat. But with a little bit of thought process, any business can grow past that solo practitioner if they wanted to. So that's the big thing. Do you want to grow past that? Because it's okay to stay small, and there's other ways to make great money as a solo practitioner. But if you really truly want to embrace your CEO hat and grow your business, then you have to have this mindset shift. You can find other people who have the skills that you want. It's about, how are you going to work with them? How are you going to find the right people? How are you going to transition your business from just being solo to your clients understanding that it's more than just you? Because a lot of what I work with my clients on is that whole, I've built my reputation and now I'm afraid to bring other people in who might not treat my clients the same way I do.
Right. It is a common concern that people have. I'm sure it's not the only one that you encounter with your clients. Curious, what are some of the mindset hurdles that some of your clients have to overcome in order to really make that transition and to start bringing in the support that is going to allow them to expand and grow their business?
Right. So for lack of a better term, it's that turning from employee to employer, right? So a lot of times we have that employee mindset, and now we have to have the employer mindset. And many people who do start a business based on a skill have never had formal business training. So they don't know how to become an employer or a manager, how to find the right teams, to motivate their teams, to create a culture so that their teams want to stay. And again, I'm working with my clients because they're running into problems when it comes to their employees. They go out there looking for someone with a particular skill set, and that's what they focus on. I want someone who has this skill set, and there's so much more to finding the right employees, and whether you want to call them employees, team members, whatever, there's so much more to it than just the skills. Because I mean, how many times have you worked in any place and you clash with your team members? And that's all comes down to not having the same core values. So I talk a lot about the first step to hiring is figuring out what are your core values and what culture do you want to create. And quite honestly, you can train anyone to have the skills that you have. Now, I'm not saying I can train you to be an electrician if you're not an electrician. You should come with some skills. However, having the ability to have the same core values means so much more to someone's business, because I can train you on skills. I can't train you to have the same core values as me.
I've found that when we can really start to feel into it more, I remember reading so many years ago about some of the most successful business people on the planet will openly admit that intuition is their go-to resource. And it seems counterintuitive to a lot of people. A lot of people think, oh, in order to be successful in business, you have to just be fully business minded. And people have this idea that somehow intuition is superstitious, or it's sort of wishy-washy, or it's not foolproof. But we have so many incredible leaders and mentors and inspirational people who are saying, no, I mean, you do analyze the data too, but the decision maker is your gut. The decision maker is your intuition. Because if you get a bad vibe off of someone when you're going through the interview process, why in the world would you think that you're not going to encounter issues when they're actually now working with you?
Mm-hmm. For sure. And I really believe that intuition, that gut feeling, it does come down to our core values. It's what's inside of us. And typically you're getting those red flags when there's not an alignment, right? So if someone's sitting across from me and they start to say something in an interview that starts to get my gut kind of, ooh, I'm not sure about this. If I really took the time to listen to what they were saying, there's probably one of my core values that's coming into play, right? And so when I lead my interviewing by finding out someone's core values, as opposed to focusing on their skills, I mean, their resume tells me their skills. When I call for references, I'm going to learn if they have the skills. I can even do testing to decide if they have the skills. I want to focus so much more of my attention when I'm bringing people into my business on core values. It's the same when we're working with our clients. You're going to have that gut feeling. Do I want to work with this person? Do I not? How many times have you heard? I'm sure you've heard it lots, because I know I have as a business coach. Oh, I really felt this thing like I shouldn't have brought that client on, and then I brought them on anyways. And oh my God, big mistake. And in the beginning, many of us, we just grab whatever client. Oh my God, they're willing to pay me for my services. Come on board, right? And then after a while, we start to get picky and choosy about who we want to work with. And that's one of the things that I say to my clients right off the bat. Like, I know you're new in business, but please listen to that gut intuition. It's telling you something.
It's so funny that you say that. Now, one of my clients comes to mind immediately, because we've spent so many years working on that whole employee hiring dynamic, and he's really like drilled down now. It took him a few mistakes to come around completely, and he always says, Alicia, I knew it. I felt it. I know it. I heard your voice in my head, and I did it anyway. And,
and now I regret it. Yes.
So, for anyone listening who has had a few bad hires, it can create some fear, some apprehension. But when we can really start to release and let go of all of that stuff and start to get clear within ourselves, like you're talking about getting clear about your core values. Um, and when you start to feel it, when you really start to feel into what that dynamic should feel like, how you should feel in interacting with that team member. When you're having that conversation with a prospective new hire and it doesn't feel like that, right? There's a really good indicator right there. That's not the one. That's just not the one. And there is someone who is going to be the right one. But you mentioned it before, right? There's this tendency, it's like, oh, I need that. I need to fill that gap in my business, or somebody left and now we need to replace them. And then we get into that sort of neediness, scarcity mindset. And we have to make sure that we are discharging that negative energy so that we're not making irrational decisions.
For sure. Especially right now with where we are, we hear that there's an employee shortage, there's a labor shortage that's out there. And I've been working with some of my clients the last little while saying there is more than one way to earn a lot of money. And I'm not saying don't hire. I'm saying take your time to hire. Hire slowly, fire fast is the saying that we've all heard, but it really is true. Take your time finding the right person. But if once you've hired them, you get this gut feeling like, ugh, and like you keep giving them chance after chance after chance, it's like fire fast. And I'm not saying, oh, like at the first sign, get rid of them. I'm saying if that continually happens again and again, it's time to look in a different direction. But with this whole labor shortage, if you will, that's going on, or someone who's having problems. Oh, here comes those trains that I was talking to you about, Alicia. So you'll have to excuse your listeners. You'll have to excuse the fact a train whistle is going to go in a second. But anyways, back to what I was saying is, if you are out there and you're not finding that employee right away, what I really work with my clients on is creating this whole customer experience, because having a customer experience allows you to no longer have to be competitive over price. It opens a lot of doors when you create this experience that's different than anyone else. So I would work with a lot of spas and I say to them, what stops me from going to other spas and coming to your spa? You have to create an experience where I'm out there talking about what you're doing. And when you do that and you've created this experience, well, now it doesn't matter what price you charge. Well, I guess it does in a little bit, but you can charge more than the spa next door because you're creating an amazing experience. So let me give you an example. I was in a busy city. I went to the spa. They catered to CEOs. And when I was outside, I was walking to the spa. It was really noisy. You could hear horn honking and sirens blowing and all kinds of noise. And the minute I walked in, they had spent extra money to soundproof the room. And they had ambient music and they had, waterfalls and things like that. And I felt like I had shut everything out. That's an amazing experience. I'll pay a little bit more for that to lay on a massage table there where I'm not hearing that hustle and bustle, right? There's so many things that we can do to create a customer experience so that we're not always concerned with volume. I got to get as many people working with me so that I can have 10 registered massage therapists or 10 electricians, or in my case, 10 virtual assistants at the time, so that I can get the volume in. Well, no, if I could create an experience where now I really only need 3 or 4 people, because I'm creating this amazing experience where, like maybe in a spa, you create where you come in and you're getting your massage, but now there's not that rush, like, okay, you've had your hour massage, now go, right? Maybe you create like a Zen room or something someone could visit and it becomes an experience. And so in between finding the right employees or team members and finding the right client experience, that's how you can really shift that mindset to being not just a practitioner, but really truly being a CEO. So those are the two things that I really think make a difference in business on being able to really stand out.
After you made the mindset shift, I don't want to be stuck in this role as a practitioner. I want to expand into the CEO mindset. What do you think was one of the biggest mindset hurdles that you had to overcome in order to get from that point to where you are today?
I believe the biggest shift had to be in boundaries. There's two kinds of rules. There's yours and everyone else's rules, right? And it's about really focusing on what I wanted my business to look like, what I was willing to and not willing to accept from people. So sometimes you can hire other people. So you get this idea, okay, I'm going to grow my business past myself. And you hire someone and they come in almost like a bull in a china shop and they want to change everything about your business. And it's important for you to stand your ground and say, this is my business. I get to make the decisions. I get to decide what direction I want to go in my business. Now, I'm not saying don't listen to people's suggestions and ideas, but at the end of the day, remember that it's your business. It gets to be whatever you want your business to be. And so one of the biggest mistakes I made was trying to please every single other person out there. And, well, this person wants me to do this with my business. And if I want to keep them here, I'm going to have to do what they want. And then clients would want me to do things outside of hours. And I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, no problem. And before I knew it, I was pleasing everybody else and not pleasing myself. And, that was another big shift I had to make, was remembering that even though I wasn't solo in my business anymore, it was still my business and still my direction and my vision. And what did I want from that? And when I could share that and say, here's what the vision is, and make sure that people not only had the same core values as me, but understood my vision and were excited about my vision and didn't think they had to create my vision again. That was one of the big mindset shifts. And the other one was to let go of the fear that other people were just coming into my business to take what they could and start their own and become my competition. Because that was a big fear for a while. Like, I was afraid to let people in on certain things because I was afraid, oh, you just want to know because you want to go start your own business and be my competition. But when I went back to focusing on that customer experience and ensuring that my customers were happy, I actually supported and was excited when some of my team members got to that point that they wanted to strike out on their own. Because to me, that was like a pat on the back. Like, look at how great I was as a mentor that this person now feels comfortable to go out on their own. So, don't be afraid to show people what you're doing and how you're doing it, and support them in their dreams as well.
I love that. It's a big shift from scarcity mindset to abundance mindset.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, Yvonne, how can our listeners connect with you?
Awesome. Well, they can reach me at besttraininginc.com and learn more about me there. There's links at the bottom of the page to all my social media channels, and I would love to connect with them.
Awesome. Now, as we are rounding out this episode, I'd love to just have you feel in to any final parting thoughts you're inspired to leave us with.
So the biggest thing that I want to leave your listeners with, if you're sitting back there and it's kind of you resonated with that conversation that I had in my own head, are you a practitioner or are you a CEO? If you felt like you bought yourself a job, if you will. And I mean, there was the odd time I sat on my front porch and thought, wow, look at these people coming and going for their businesses, or sorry, for their careers. And I still have 3 more hours of work that I'm doing. Like, I might be on my laptop sitting on the front porch, but there was that odd time that I was like, it would be so much easier to go get a job. And it wasn't until I let go of, I don't want to go get another job. I love what I'm doing. I love what I'm creating. Honestly, the sky's the limit. It's like you said, it's that abundance mindset, not the scarcity mindset. So it was that shift from, I haven't bought myself a job. I've bought myself the opportunity to grow something that really, really matters. So for anyone that's out there feeling like they've bought themselves a job, like they are just this solopreneur or this practitioner, and I use the term just very loosely there. If you feel like that, just know your business can be whatever you want it to be. The sky is the limit. You just got to let go and believe that what you want can come true.
Excellent way to end this episode. Thank you so much, Yvonne, for being with us and sharing so many valuable takeaways.
Thank you for having me, Alicia, and it's been wonderful.
Thank you to all of our listeners. We're doing this for you. If you haven't already subscribed, please make sure you do so. And until next time, we will see you in the next episode.